evening, and of course, welcome to Meet Your Leaders on Ubuntu channel. We are so glad that you are a part of this program. Remember that this program is tailor-made to make sure that you get to meet rather your leaders from different perspectives of life. I am your host, Lance Sani Banda, and of course, to help me with this program is Chaza. Chaza, good evening. How are you doing? All right, so Wasim, Chaza, hi, how are you doing? Well, we seem to be having some connectivity challenges right there, but hey, the program still has to continue right there. Now, remember, every Wednesday we get to bring to you exciting program, which is Meet Your Leaders, where you have to meet your leaders, not only political leaders, but church leaders, youthful leaders, as well as our community leaders and faith-based leaders, not forgetting social leaders. And today, of course, we are having a social leader right here. And of course, today's topic or program that we are discussing on, we are looking at the state of the nation. When you talk about the state of nation, of course, we are looking at the different happenings that have been happening in the motherland, Zambia. This is a political program. Remember that the views posted or that are talked about on this program do not represent the views of those of Ubuntu Channel. If you are listening to us for the very first time, Ubuntu Channel is an online platform that which you can join by only clicking on the link, liking, subscribing, as well as also following us on the different platforms that we have. So on Facebook, you get to like our Facebook page, which is Ubuntu Channel Zambia, and you get to follow us on Twitter, which is Ubuntu Channel Zambia. Not forgetting, you get to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, which is Ubuntu Channel Zambia. On YouTube, do not only subscribe, remember to hit on the bell on your right so that each time that Ubuntu Channel is live, you get to have that notification to say Ubuntu Channel n'abaposapo bali live apa balekitika enkyaso ekyo balekitatiska. This evening on the topic state of the nation or the state of the nation, I have with me his project executive director, who is Reverend Lungu or Moses Lungu. Reverend, good evening and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good evening, Ubuntu channel, and good evening to the viewers.
Thank you so much. So, before we get straight to our topic of discussion, Reverend Lungu, kindly tell us what SEES project is all about, or what the acronym SEES stands
for. Okay, the letters SEES stand for Social, Economical, and Environmental Survival Projects. It's a non-governmental organization or an organization which is not for profit. This is an organization that works in different communities to actually provide survival measures on or survival mitigation measures on social economic challenges that our people in communities are faced with. We are also activists, or rather advocates of a better environment, and we also look into issues of child protection. We also look into issues to do with human trafficking, which has become rampant, especially in most African countries, the Eastern Africa and also the southern part of Africa, and also, of course, human beings, young people, teenagers or children that are trafficked from Africa to overseas, and those that are from overseas to Africa because of certain migrants that have come to work in Africa, and then they cannot actually adjust to what they find in Africa, so they opt to bring their own people through unauthorized means into African countries and begin to abuse them. So we are also into human trafficking. We are also advocates for better environment. We are also advocates for child protection. And ultimately, we look into issues affecting a lot of vulnerable households at community level, which is the social economic situations of our people.
Thank you so much, Reverend Lungu, right there. And of course, just a reminder to our viewers on different platforms that you are following us on, whether on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Twitter. On this program, we always make sure that after 30 or 45 minutes, we get you engaged to come through into the studio. Like we give you the opportunity, you come through direct into the studio, ask your question, or have a one-on-one with our guest in the studio so that you ask a question, express a view, as well as point out a direction that which you would love us to point out this particular interview. Now, remember, if you have just joined us, we are discussing the state of the nation. And on the program, we have CIS Project Executive Director, that is Reverend Moses Lungu. Now, when we posted this on different social media that we have, Reverend Lungu, many questions came through asking, are you a nephew or somehow related to the former president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, because of the surname Lungu? That's most of the questions that came through. Can you please try to clarify
Well, I'm Reverend Moses Lungu. I was born in Kitwe, um, and I grew up in Kitwe, and of course got married in Kitwe, and I'm a father of 9 children, all girls, and I come from, of course, my parents come from Eastern Province, Petauke, Chief Nyampande. I actually come from the royal family of the chiefdom of Nyampande. Um, I'm actually a grandson to Chief Nyampande of Petauke in the Eastern Province. So
that? Are you some, I Reverend Lungu, the question that came through, are you somehow related to former President Edgar Lungu, either by brothership or cousinship?
what I know is we come from the same area, and of course, the time that the former president lived in what's this? The Copper Belt, particularly Kitwe, in Chimwemwe. I think we were in the same area. We share the same names. Of course, um, our both parents don't have any relations. I think we relate just by the fact that we come from the same area in Petauke, and then
That you both have
we
one.
share the same surnames.
All right. So quickly, let's get direct to our topic of discussion this evening: the state of the nation. Reverend Lungu, as an organization that is there to supplement efforts that different governments, not only one government, but different governments that comes through in your efforts to supplement their development or different agendas that they have. Let's quickly, with the vision or with what we're discussing, state of the nation, let's quickly get into what the New Dawn government is doing. Monthly, they review fuel prices through the ERB, and we have seen adjustments, downwardness of the petroleum products on the international market as well as right here in Zambia. And previously, we had ERB pronouncing that fuel or petroleum products have gone down by 3/4, which every citizen welcomed. But then the bus operators did not welcome because RATSA also came up with their own math and provided the nation with what RATSA assumed to be a reduction in that fuel and bus reduction. Let's start with RATSA. Let's start with ERB rather. They reduced 3/4, and RATSA reduces 5/4 local routes for bus operators. Let's get to relate those two. You, as SEES Project, an organization that supplements government effort to delivering better development to the massive sector. How do you look at that?
Well, it's a new way of doing business from the previous way ERB were doing business, and trying to improve the economic conditions of our country generally. And then, of course, this is a new system that has been introduced, and we need to accept the fact that this will meet new challenges. Of course, we've had a situation where there's a fuel increase, upward adjustments, and then in some routes, due to the vulnerability and the bad economic situation of our people of that particular area, you
Ubuntu is a tradition that man, or indeed a human being, is born in. Naturally, we are born with Ubuntu. We live with it. We come into this world with that.
Ubuntu ninshila iyo abantu basenderamo ifyo umuntu afwiri okuba n'efyo afwiri okukita n'efyo afwiri okwikaliramu Ubuntu.
Chitemiko, Ubuntu mutende.
Ubuntu nikukhala pamodzi. Ubuntu nikusamala. Ubuntu nikukondana.
The desire to contribute to positive changes within rural communities is my strong motivation to work hard for my society. For me, that is Ubuntu.
Ubuntu means humbleness. Ubuntu means humility. Ubuntu means love.
Ubuntu is I'm a person because of a person. That's really a person. I'm who I am because of who we are.
What Ubuntu means to me is the ability to look at the need of others and be able to put yourself in their position, be able to do something about it.
We're going to be offering some of our viewers more content. And apart from more content, we are going to expect our viewers to be participating more And then we want also our viewers to also like our channel.
Yes.
And
They should like it on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and also on YouTube. And not to forget that our content is reliable. It's not fake news. We do not have fake news on this channel.
All right. Sorry for that. We truly apologize and we severely apologize for technical glitch right there, which took out everybody on the program. But however, meet your leaders still continue right here. And it's 33 minutes past going the hour of 21, meaning that we've only done 16 minutes of the program. We are still on, and hopefully you are still there, believing that you are still going to be given a chance to have an interaction with our guest right here in the studio. Do not forget that our guest is SEAS Project's Executive Director, that is Reverend Moses Lungu. And I am your host, Laz Panibanda, together with Chaza. Somehow, currently, that is facing some internet challenges, but however, let's get to pull through these. Remember also, shortly we'll be sharing with you the link on whichever platform that you are watching us on, whether on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Twitter. We'll be giving you the studio link where you can join us live in the studio and have a direct conversation with our guest right here. Now, let's get to see if we still have our guest here and get to continue from where we ended. Reverend Lungu, sorry for that. Internet glitches happened right here and there. But my question obviously emanated from getting into the program, since we are talking about the state of the nation, and the first thing or the first item that we have on the program, we are talking about ERB reducing fuel by 3/4, and then RATSA reducing bus fares by 5/4. Let's get to have a comment from you, the SEAS project. Is this a fair mathematics that RATSA has played on the bus operator?
Okay, I think the best people to address that are the stakeholders in the same business, and also the ministry and RATSA, because we are hoping that an amicable solution, a win-win solution, can be arrived at. In certain circumstances, it is applying very well, but then in certain situations, it's not going down very well. It's not making any economic sense per se. But again, it's not a situation that should subject the whole country into an unnecessary protest that we've seen emerging, or quarrels that we've seen between the minibus operators and their customers. I think we need to agree that if we are to improve the economic situations, we should be in a position to adjust as quickly and adapt to changing trends as quickly as possible, and give the government the much needed support that we really need to improve our country's economical status as at now. We have a lot of challenges. We've borrowed so much, and in fact, by September we should be paying the debt and so forth. So I'm sure these new trends.
Reverend Lungu, I feel like you are getting out of what we are currently discussing. Here we want to find like an amicable solution between ERB announcing 3/4 reduction into fuel, and then the road traffic and safety agents announcing 5-quarter reduction into the bus fares. That is for local routes. For peri-urban, the reduction is 7-quarter, and then for intercity, the reduction is 14% of whatever that intercity has been charging. Is there a correlation there? What is causing the drivers, like you had mentioned, what is causing the drivers to even go to an extent of protesting to say what Ratsa has proposed is not what should be on the ground, because the buses and taxi drivers association chairperson, that is Mr. Chilwa, on Tuesday, the 2nd of August, he mentioned to say when they met with Ratsa did not table with them the possible reduction of prices that Ratsa produced. They never discussed that. So Ratsa became hypocritical by not addressing it with the association, but rather went on and announced to say this is the reduction. Let's try to bring harmony in that. Where is the problem? Why
this is
are the bus operators not adhering to what Ratsa has said?
No, this is why I'm proposing that the stakeholders, together with the ministry and Ratsa, should have a roundtable meeting like they've always done, so that they can look at what you are just putting across, so they can arrive at something that will be reflective, that will be cost reflective on the part of those that operate these buses. Because these buses is not just about fuel, it's wear and tear. You know, the vehicle as it is moving, it is wearing out. And you always have a view that once it is gone, you can replace it with another new one. So you make profits, you make sense of the business that you are doing. So maybe my appeal would be that I think would call on the ministry and Ratsa and all the stakeholders that they should have a discussion other than allowing a situation where they let people begin to go on the street and protest. Before we know it, we're going to lose lives, which is not necessary. So I'm calling upon the minister to come to the situation, to the rescue of the situation before it deteriorates into anarchy. I think it's just the responsible leadership on his part that he needs to provide in this particular situation.
Now, Reverend Lungu, I would love to move with your flow of the minister providing leadership in this case. Now, the minister in charge of transport, Honorable Frank Tayali, instead of dealing with this issue amicably, and as President Hakainde Hichilema has always put it, to say ministers and MPs, these are servants to the people. The way the Honorable Member of Parliament, Honorable Tayali, came out after when bus operators refused to put across the new prices that Ratsa proposed. Honorable Tayali instead came out, instead of providing leadership, came out and threatened bus operators to say that if there's any bus operator that refuses or rejects to enhance this new pricing that Ratsa has announced, they are going to lose their trading license. If not losing it, we are going to suspend it. Is that a way a leader, or as President Hakainde Hichilema puts it, a servant is supposed to address people that are aggrieved and feel that Ratza did not look at the economical view of the fuel reduction and bus fares reduction, plus or in conjunction with spare parts prices, as well as what these bus drivers pay to the local council each time that they are loading in this bus station.
This is why I'm still proposing that regardless of whatever has transpired, I'm still calling on the minister. He has an obligation. He's much obliged actually to provide leadership, bring all the stakeholders together, and then discuss this issue. I'm sure what the transporters are talking about, it has a lot of sense. It is reasonable. Probably the apprehension also by the government could be actually having some sense. But again, what I'm saying is that let the minister provide leadership, bring all the stakeholders together, and then discuss the matter as opposed to a situation. You see now, there are a lot of frustration. There is a lot of frustration actually with what is going on in the transport business. People are being inconvenienced and so forth. I don't think that's the way to go. I'm still using this platform to actually invite the minister, the Honorable Minister Tayali, to a round table discussion, and please, may you find an amicable solution that will satisfy the transporters and at the same time be able to satisfy the customer, that is the end user of whatever is being discussed here. So it's the minister that should provide the leadership. The minister should bring together RATSA, the council, and the drivers and owners of these transports, so that they discuss and arrive at something. I don't think that we are so down that we don't have mathematicians who can actually arrive at something that will, during this period, can actually make a lot of sense to both parties. The people that use, or the patrons, and the transporters.
Well, Reverend Lungu, not speaking on behalf of Ubuntu channel, but as Lance, I've taken, a personal survey on the transporters, bus operators, taxi operators, to look at what are they proposing on which RATSA or government should consider as a reduction to the fare prices. And most of them have confirmed with me as Lance, not as Ubuntu channel, but as Lance, an individual, to say they propose, instead of a 5 kwacha for a local route, they propose a 2 kwacha or 1 kwacha 15 way. And this is why we have even seen these bus operators and taxi operators protesting to say 5 kwacha is just too much. Like, where is the mathematics correlating here? Fuel reduces 3 kwacha, and then bus fares or taxi fares, they reduce by 5 kwacha. Where is the correlation here? So them, the taxi owners or the bus owners, they are proposing a 2 kwacha reduction, unlike the 5 kwacha reduction. Should the current government and minister in charge of transport adhere to this? Or maybe the minister should still go ahead with the threats that he has put across to say, if bus operators don't adhere to the 5 kwacha reduction, they, as road traffic and safety agents, together with the Ministry of Transport, are going to end the mutual relationship that they have with these bus operators. They suspend their trading licenses. Which one is a better way to go? Listening to these bus operators or going with what government has decided on?
There's always room for discussion. And I'm still insisting that let the consumer associations, the drivers associations, the councils that collect the levy from these buses, because they have information, they see how these guys are challenged, the transporters or the drivers. It's very, very important to bring certain information to the attention of the minister, in as much as the minister would want to actually, this is beyond politics because it involves money, so it is more economical than political. So the minister, this is what I'm saying, he cannot run away from it. There is no need for those threats. There is just need that they can listen to each other and be understanding and arrive at a situation, a win-win situation. An amicable solution can be found. I'm very much optimistic about this. Yes, it's seemingly not making any economical sense when you look at the adjustment of fuel. The fuel that you use, you don't use the fuel that is adjusted by 5 kwacha, but you have a turnover that you look at in terms of maybe making a trip to some point, and then you expect to raise a certain amount of money. Mathematically, there is some place where a uniform arrangement may actually injure the operators so much. So if they bring such to the attention of the minister, I mean, he's a human being. He can always attend to them. So what we are saying is, whilst this is going on, let's not inconvenience ourselves. Can the leadership in all these stakeholder associations or groups make a date with the minister and Ratsa, and then reason with them so that something is done for on the local routes?
All right. Thank you so much. Now, for our viewer that is watching us from different platforms that you are watching us, right about now, we are sharing with you the studio link, which you can join in the studio right here and ask your question, share a view, share a sentiment, as well as come through and have a one-on-one chat with our guest that which we have right here in the studio, which is Reverend Moses Lungu, who is the executive director for SEED projects right here. We encourage you to come through either via commenting on this particular broadcast, or as well as you coming through via our the line that we have shared with you to come and also join us right live into the studio. So, producer, please share that link with our viewers so that they can come through and be part of this program right in the studio. Reverend Moses Lungu, from what you have said, do you think that a minister was quick to react and warn the bus operators without sitting down with them and understanding the cause that they are bringing forth before warning them to say, if you do not reduce, we deregister?
Well, what it is here is I may not be privy to factors that influence the minister to arrive at that particular decision, which of course is deemed to be threatening. I think what is just important is the fact that when people are not happy with the measures that you have taken, we are in a democracy. There is room always for negotiations. We just need to negotiate your way through, and then make sure that at the end of the day you are not regretting, and those that are benefiting from your transport are equally not overpriced or being abused or exploited. So I think maybe government is trying to protect a situation where the consumers or the end users are not exploited. So I'm still very optimistic. I don't want to judge the minister, but this is how I feel things can be done. You provide leadership. and he has to provide leadership. He has a challenge to provide leadership. We need him to provide leadership. He's the leader. He's the minister in charge of transport. So let him get down and listen to these people and then engage the accountants that are going to work out things so that whatever is happening, the adjustments on fuel will still be cost reflective.
Reverend Lungu, as an organization, you are supplementing government's effort into social, economical, as well as environmental social projects that different governments are running. And this one borders on social because it deals with the public and it's of public interest. I want you to be truthful and really do not be economical, but be truthful right here. We
Yeah.
saw bus operators from Ndola demonstrating, making up a day, which was yesterday. They did not work because passengers and them, bus operators, they've been running battles where we have seen different bus operators dropping off passengers that have refused to pay the old amount because bus operators do not feel that they should pay the new amount that RATs have proposed. I witnessed to at least about 5 cases, and I was there at the police when these passengers were being locked up into police stations because negligence to pay is an offense, as well as the um, the directive that the minister gave to say ngati kondakta akana kukulipizani mutego wanyu mupelekeni ku police. But when you go to the police bakaenda kuja, the driver and the conductor are smart enough to say njere akana kulipira negligence of pay. Instead wayasala mu sales ndani ni passenger. Why? Because we have this conflict. How do you think we can work around this conflict to make sure that government and this public sector of transport basebenzera pamozi kudde waenda kusala mu masales kwakana kulipira mutengo yema drivers basiba naye bwuja passengers okuti ine kyenakanira nakana kyokka government nakita announce mutengo waso, but the police they act according to what has been stipulated in the law. What is the best solution?
Well, the police officer should actually know that detaining somebody unlawfully, it's a crime that will actually be a cost on the part of government. And the minibus driver and the conductor, they should know that giving false information to the public officer, it is also an offense which can attract imprisonment and of course other penalties related to the crime. So I think the situation at hand, I don't think that those police officers live in mass, that they don't understand what is obtaining on the ground. I think what is important is to see our police officers acting professionally. They don't need to be rational. They need to demonstrate that they are well versed on matters of laws that are prevailing in the country or trending in the country. This is a hot issue. It is a very sensitive issue. And if our police are failing to act professionally, they will incite a situation where they will fail to contain the fire which they are trying to start. So I think when there is a crisis calls for the provision of leadership. You know, I'm a strong believer and advocate that whenever there is a crisis, there will always be a solution, a way out that will leave both parties smiling. I think.
Now, Reverend, here is
Yeah.
an issue. Here, it's more like we have two things at play here. We have a traffic offense as well as a law offense. Failure to pay is a crime under the constitution, under the law of Zambia. Then
Yeah, but this person, Lancy, this person has not chosen to pay.
Let me finish, Reverend. Let me finish, and then you can respond. So, failure for a passenger to pay is a law, like that is a law which is it's stipulated in the law. If you fail to pay what is due, failure to pay is punishable by the law. Then, what is also coming into play, which passengers are trying to put across, also which the Minister of Transport alluded to, is Article 11 of the traffic offences, to say you only obtain a license of public service vehicle if you are offering a service to passengers. Now, these passengers have been given this amount by RATSA, which the bus operators have refused. So, when these bus operators are taking this person to the police, they are using that provision of the law yameneka bakutinjere uyu akangiwa kulipira but service aitenga. Then uja passenger pebamuita introduce pita kuli ba police akama tinje ratsa inata chani inakaba tibabwezako mitengo. Then mabus operators wakama tinjere ili kuti fair charge yamene uyu zinga iwe yeikamba ivo beukambako. So how does a professional, not only traffic police officer, but a mayor police officer, kwendo chita complain kuja bus driver na kwe passenger afuna kusista depend according to the prices yanabwera kwe bachita report. Let's make people understand that.
Okay, this is what I'm saying, Lancy. There is no offense here. I think the inertia on the part of RATSA is what is causing all this problem. Because when the ARB announces the adjustment, they also go ahead to announce the adjustments in terms of prices. They need there and then to produce as evidence the fare charts, because that will empower the consumer or the end user to strengthen their argument. And upon production of that, of course, the inertia on the part of RATSA is causing all this confusion. They need to move fast because they're the ones who made the pronouncement. So they really need to move fast. So because they've not done that, then we have this problem.
Okay.
So again, the police officer...
Sorry to cut you short. I know you have a point there, but sorry to cut you short. Now, RATSA made that pronouncement, but the Buses and Taxis Owners Association of Zambia, through their chairman, Mr. Chirwa, refuted the claims to say when they met on the 2nd of August, they did not meet to talk about the new prices or the new fares that are supposed to be effective. RATSA did not produce or did not even introduce or talked about that thing. RATSA was only talking about something else. So the chairman there refused to say RATSA did not bring to the table that thing of reducing bus fares. So they are asking, how did the RATSA come to 5 kwacha local routes reduction, 7 kwacha peri-urban, and 14% intercity routes?
Well, the truth is what we are discussing here, Lance, that one, the RATSA guys are at fault. They have not finished their job. The first job was to engage these people and agree. Look at it from an economical point of view. With the stakeholders, it's very important to engage. You cannot impose anything when you have invited or you have stakeholders that are directly linked to this particular thing. So RATSA have an unescapable obligation to engage the drivers, the transporters, the council, and the consumer so that they discuss this thing. When they discuss there, they brainstorm. Of course, they'll come up with an amicable solution to the situation. So, in this case, we have seen that the RATSA have not done a good job. They've not engaged the stakeholders. Hence, the problem on the ground. And this problem is not necessary. This is why I'm calling for the minister to provide leadership in all the situation where lapses have been identified. It's not too late.
Well,
They can talk even tomorrow. When they talk about it tomorrow, then people will understand once the pronouncements are made, and then the fair charts are issued immediately. So there is somebody who is not doing what they're supposed to do at RATSA, who is actually contributing to all this acrimony. This crisis is not necessary because it's for the good of the transporters, it's for the good of the consumers, it's for the good of every one of us. We want to have a situation that is affordable, but at the same time, it must be cost reflective, not exploitative. And as much as we mitigate on this particular challenge, we need to ensure also that we are not taking advantage of anyone else here, because this is not a government business. This business is in private hands, and government is committed to actually empowering and seeing to it that the private sector flourishes. So this is my argument, Lance, that the minister must come on board, bring everyone together, and resolve this issue amicably. Engage, as opposed to just calling people to rubber stamp what you have already resolved. I think this is what is bringing problems. So these problems are not necessary, Lancy. This is my opinion on the matter.
well, I would have loved to take you back to the minister, but you have already tackled on that, because the minister was brought into line, and all that the minister could have to do was on operating bus operators, but not decide to sit down with all stakeholders involved in this situation. But anyway, let's
Yeah,
get to move
but
on.
now we are calling on the minister to engage, to listen, and then resolve. So it should be a give and take kind of a situation as they meet. They should arrive at something amicable for the good of every stakeholder involved in this particular business. So we are saying that it is wrong to threaten the stakeholders. Don't threaten them, but can you engage them, discuss with them, and hear them, give them the listening ear? This is leadership.
Thank you so much, Reverend. For those of you that have just tuned in, this is Meet Your Leaders on Ubuntu channel. Of course, we have shared with you the studio link. For those of you that feel that you want to come straight into the studio and have a one-on-one interaction with Reverend Lungu and I right here, this is the time that you come through. If not, do not cry foul, because we only have about 10 minutes in wrapping up this program. So this is time that you come through, be part of the program, share with us your sentiments, share with us your comments, and of course, just come through and what you think about what we are discussing. It is the state of the nation. Now, Reverend Lungu, before I let you go, or maybe get to read comments and messages that have come through, let's get straight into the unfortunate thing that happened yesterday. Now, this is the first one of its kind, not only in Zambia, not only in Africa, but across the world. For the very first time, Zambia has made history. Its former Republican President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's house was raided, was thieved yesterday. thieves broke into his house and walked away with what I would call a simple gift of 66,000 kwacha because they walked away with 2 television sets. According to police, they confirmed that those 2 TVs costed 66,000 kwacha. What do you make of this as an organization? Who,
Well, we know
how,
that
and where does a former head of state get robbed? Not only gets robbed, but only gets robbed when he is out of the country going for a routine medical checkup.
well, it's a very unfortunate development, and we know that where the security, where the former head of state is staying, is a good one, and there are cameras, and they should be able to know which characters actually managed to break in and then store the television sets. It's a very unfortunate situation that is taking us into a very bad test, both locally and internationally. And I think we just need to make sure that the security of the former head of state is non-negotiable. The state has an obligation by law to provide the security to the former head of state. And my appeal also to the former head of state is he should help the state to make it easier for them to do what is right. I think the residence of the former head of state should not be the secretariat of a political party. I think it should be a private residence for his personal business, his family business, and so forth. Because you don't know now where this is coming from. You don't know where this is coming from, and you may not have the justification to suspect that maybe this is coming from the UPND or it's coming from the Socialist Party, because we know that within PF itself there are a lot of problems, and you never know who is trying to take advantage. I have one speculation that I've actually observed. That there's been lies taking rounds within PF ranks that President Lungu doesn't want to relinquish power and retire from active politics, but rather is actually waiting for that time when they'll go for the convention so that he can spring a surprise and then relaunch a political comeback and then begin to campaign for 2026 general election. So this has not been received very well by some members within the Patriotic Front. Now, you don't know to which extent this can go.
Reverend Lungu, Reverend
Yes.
Lungu, Reverend
Yes.
Lungu, are you sure about this allegation that you are making to say there is a possibility?
Yeah, what I'm
that
telling you
former-
is I'm sure that those allegations are trending. I'm sure that
yes,
those
yes,
allegations
okay.
those allegations are trending within PF.
Reverend Lungu, please remember that this is an online platform and would love to get accurate news. Are you sure?
Okay. What I'm talking about, it's
this is trending around the PF camp that President Lungu is planning to come back in 2026.
I've said that there are rumors trending, and
Okay,
these
so
are
this is
unfounded allegations. Can you get me? These are unfounded allegations. Some people who don't mean well can use to launch an attack on the presidency. Now, if you have people within PF who claim that they are taking solidarity, they are paying solidarity to the head of state, and then they overlook the aspect of the security detail. Because the security detail, you don't just leave it to the state, especially where your relationship is not very good. the former president, the former head of state should take measures to make sure that the security detail is not overlooked, because that can be very dangerous. The interactions of the former head of state should actually be highly censored, so that you don't have every Jim and Jack walking in and out of his residence, because these are problems that we don't know where they are coming from. And somebody can even take advantage because, okay, the state has made this statement, so there is this rift between him and the state, so this is what we are going to do. There's been a lot of attempts to frustrate the president even within the party itself. There's been a lot of talks. Some senior members of PF have actually confronted the acting General Secretary, Secretary General, Nixon Chilangwa, over the issues of former President Lungu. So you don't become careless. Take precautions. You are a national asset. And I think that residence must be treated not as a secretariat, but it should be a strictly private place for the former head of state. This is what I'm saying.
All right. So, okay. Thank you so much, Reverend Lungu, on that one. But now, is it normal for the former head of state, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, to have only 2 policemen manning his house? Yes, we know that former President Edgar Lungu is out of the country in South Africa, attending to his routine medical checkup. But was it normal for the state to only provide 2 policemen to man that house, which is located in Ibex Hill? And from the allegations that have been made, do you really think that there was an abnormality happening there?
What it is, President Kabila of Congo was killed by one of his men. So the number of how many police officers are there can either work against you or work for you. What is important for the former head of state, what is important for him now is to make sure that he works out his security detail. Whether they give him 2 police officers, it's very, very important. It is imperative that he works on his security detail. And also, this does not justify the position by the state that they should not provide sufficient security for the former head of state, because you don't know the appraisal reactions that can come in an event that something bad happens to the former head of state. So the security of the former head of state is non-negotiable. The state has an inescapable obligation to provide the security to the former head of state. Whether they like him or not, it's law. So what we are saying is, don't also put the state in a very awkward position, because those same officers, their lives are equally important to work in a very secure environment. So you reduce on the patronage of your cadres to the residents. This is what I'm saying.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much, Reverend Lungu. Due to time, we have to wrap up right here. But before we wrap up the program, let's get at least to recognize people that have been following the program right here on our online platform. For those of you that have just joined us, this is Meet Your Leaders on Ubuntu Channel Zambia, and I am your host, Lance Sani Banda. Of course, right there we have Kennedy, who says I'm watching from Ndola. All right, Kennedy, thank you so much for coming through. If we can get through to the next message that is coming through. Chaponta, thank you so much. Good to know that you are watching. The next one, please, as we are wrapping up the program. Let's get to look at the next comment coming through right there. Okay, this is Sojabu obviously giving us a thumbs up. Now, Reverend Lungu, due to time, we can't read all the messages or even allow people to come through and obviously share their comments or share with us their sentiments live in the studio. Lastly, and also as your closing remarks, I would like us to still continue talking about the safety of President Edgar Lungu, or former President Edgar Lungu. But in this way, he is the 60th president of Zambia, the only surviving former president of Zambia. Should the UPNG government, which is ruling now, be in the forefront or foster the establishment of Edgar Lungu's 60th former head of state office for us to see an effectiveness of the former head of state, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, as well as we have seen Edgar Lungu also forming that Edgar Lungu Foundation, which is all about uplifting social light as well as transforming lives. How should we excite the two? Should we link the two, or the state has to work on its own to establish that office for the former president of for the former president's office, 60th head of state office, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, and then that foundation of Edgar Lungu remains as Edgar Chagwa Lungu's foundation, which is all about transforming lives of the people, whichever lives that they will be transforming. How should we look at this? And your ending remarks as the executive director for CIS projects.
I would rather love a situation where President Edgar Lungu reads the situation accurately, and then avoid situations that may actually create a misunderstanding between him and the government that is in place today. Because he may mean well, but then the people that surround you may actually be doing other things which are very wrong. So what is important is to read the situation on the ground, which is highly and politically toxic. So I think certain things, if you avoid them, you are not losing, you are not being defeated. What is important for our head of state now is to make himself a statesman and to earn the recognition that he is the former head of state. And as such, people consult with him, because anything that he tries to do is bound to be misunderstood, misinterpreted, and that goes with unnecessary, unwarranted consequences. So it's up to him if he wants to go that route, or, as the Bembas say, mwikalapatalala, mwine apatalalika. The president should read carefully between the lines, because there are people that are near him who don't mean well even for him. They can harm him. So let the president be, apply or take precautions seriously before he can engage into doing anything.
Well, Reverend Lungu, I know I said what I talked about was the last, but we seem to have somebody in the studio. Let's get to engage that particular person to respond to whatever query that they have, and then after that, we get to close the program. Muklebai Ernest, good evening. Welcome to the program. How are you doing?
Good evening. How are you, Lance? Good evening. How are you, Reverend?
Good evening, sir. Thank you.
It's really not.
You only have Muklebai, you only have 90 seconds to ask your question or make your comment.
Okay. No, I just want to echo on the Reverend's sentiment over Volungu, that that was very noble of him giving such a very good advice. It is very important that if the former head of state wants to earn that statesmanship respect from all the people, he should learn to lay low. It's just too early it's too early for him to start running or ranting or running his mouth everywhere in or getting involved in politics when he knows that people were so upset with him, and that's why they ejected him from the seat. Because we have not yet healed. We are still in pain. The economy is still biting.
Let me give you guidance. We are not discussing the ranting of former President Edgar Lungu. What we are discussing is his residence was ransacked. Thieves entered into his residence while it is in South Africa. Banaba TV abiri with 66,000 kwacha. Let's discuss on that.
It's him. Let me just cut you short as well. It's him and his wife that invited those thieves to his residence. There's no UPND person who would want to go near the president they rejected. So he invited those trouble to himself.
I advise that as you comment, please, let's comment with objectivity. Do you have proof that? Do you have proof that he's? So please, let's be objective.
From what we have seen, I'm being objective here. From what I've seen is that
let's not use emotions.
Come again?
Let's not use emotions. Let's be objective.
I'm not being emotional, man.
Are you sure?
Okay, Nancy, allow him to put his comment across.
Reverend, I know, but I need to put across a better debate right here. So,
okay, no, you are understood, but can you allow him to go through? I'm sure he has gotten your point.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you so much for your rescue.
Go ahead.
Let me say this, young man. Listen, I'm calling you young man now because you've. Anyway, let me say this, Lance. The issue is that the president and his wife, they actually, so are you going to correct me for every? Can I finish? Then you can say what. Yes.
Yes, we don't want to be cited.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay. The former president and the former first lady, they have simply, to me, I felt that they, they actually put themselves in harm's way due to the way they responded to simple issues that should have been held secretly or privately without entertaining anyone. Today, the ex-president's residence is an open door for any member that belongs to the previous regime to go there at any time, even take pictures. Anybody, including those that really misused or abused him. It's open. The doors are open. And then, the moment he left, and I believe they knew, the moment he left, 2 days or 1 day before, we hear that his home was broken into. Seriously, there is security. It's not the government's fault. There is security. Unfortunately, this could be something within the same people being invited that might have done this. I'm not saying they have done it, but might have done this. He gave himself an invitation to treat, and people are responding. So him too has to be very careful and stay calm. Stay calm. Let him relax. Let him stay away from active politics. Let the people go there for just simple advice. Simple. Than him getting involved in responding, and I mean, anyway, let me not go that far because you may start telling me that I am now being political. But my position is that
Not even political, but your time is up. You're 1
he
minute 30
invited
seconds.
he invited this problem to himself, Ndalumbaka Party.
Thank you so much, Twalumbaka Patrick. I know that's what you wanted to say. Evangelist or Reverend, you only have 1 minute to respond as well as close down the show.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation to this program and discussing national issues. It is something that, of course, attracts a lot of different reactions from people that are listening, depending on the on how they view things and so forth. But objectively, thank you so much that you made us to discuss these issues that in the open in the open domain or the public domain. But again, it is my appeal, like Womukeraba has said, that we need to do justice to the former head of state. Let him reflect and let him not be deceived. The enemies could just be within, and let him take care. Be careful. Let him not expose himself too much to danger. It may be too risky for him, for us all that supported him and worked with him and spoke for him. I think it's just important to allow the current government to do their job according to the mandate they've been given up to 2026. We need peace. We need harmony. We need stability politically. We need to work hard towards improving our economic situation as a country.